that it was not intended that that should happen, and that occurrence is most regrettable and unfortunate. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as you rightly indicated, yesterday, the Deputy Minority Whip sought leave of the Speaker and the indulgence of the House to raise a matter that he thought was of urgent public importance. Specifically, he raised two issues, one pertaining to some press conference of the Special Prosecutor at the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Secondly, he drew attention to a joint police-military entry into the private residence of the former Minister of Finance, Honorable Ken Ofori Attah. Mr. Speaker, the statement drew a lot of debate, following some commentary, and I promised this House that I will carry out some investigation to try and appreciate the circumstances surrounding the joint police and military entry into the private residence of the former Minister of Finance. In making this statement today, let me indicate that as a country and as a parliament, we have a constitution to uphold. That constitution has embedded in it fundamental human rights, including the right to one's privacy, the right to the integrity of one's property, and His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama remains committed to ensure that the rights and liberties of every individual is respected or are respected. Mr. Speaker, secondly, I make this statement on the basis of the commitment of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to reset this country, which means that everybody must act in compliance with the law and the mandate of institutions. And so I have called the relevant stakeholders in the matter to find out exactly what happened. Mr. Speaker, it is true that the private residence of the former Minister of Finance was entered into by operatives of the military and the police, led by the somebody who we believe works at the National Security Coordinator's Office. Mr. Speaker, his name is Mr. Kyei-Duah. Mr. Speaker, we have investigated the matter, and we want to say and assure our fellow countrymen and our colleagues in this House that we have received assurances from the Office of the National Security Coordinator that it was not intended that that should happen, and that occurrence is most regrettable and unfortunate, and he wants to give this House his word and assurance that a thing like that should never happen again. Mr. Speaker, I have also spoken with the Minister of Interior, who has spoken with his IGP, and I've spoken with the Minister of Defense, and all of them give their assurance to this House that a thing like that will not happen again. And so, Mr. Speaker, let me indicate to my colleagues on the other side that this side of the House remain committed to ensuring that this country is reset, that its institutions function properly, that its officials act in accordance with the law, and that the rights and liberties of every citizen are upheld and protected under the regime of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. I personally extend my apologies to the former Minister of Finance, and I believe that this should suffice. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Majority Leader. I will now invite the Honorable Minority Leader for his comment.
Mr. Speaker, the man Mahama Ayariga is making his name in the politics of our country, is exemplary and must be commended. Mr. Speaker, I have not slept on this matter. He was taken to the south, I was taken to the north gate in ensuring that this matter was resolved. Mr. Speaker, what he has done today reminds me of what Honorable Attorney General did in 2015. In 2015, as a practitioner, I was all over the place. I'm leading a mighty few. And Honorable Ayariga in ECOWAS Parliament is known as a sincere partner when it comes to resolving conflicts, and he's demonstrated it here. So, my respected leader, I want to assure you that our side would engage you constructively. Let's do the politics in a very decent way. Let's respect each other. Let's use words that are complimentary. Hold those who are the lowest ebb up and bring them up. If somebody is making a mistake, you go to the person and say, look, you could do it better. If somebody does it well, compliment. Let's say principles will remain. I'm an MPP, proudly so. You are an NDC, proudly so. Don't let us use this platform to denigrate even our leaders. Sometimes the way we go after our leaders, the little said about it, the better. We use unprintable words. And let me caution all of us. The 2024 elections, check the percentage turnout. In Central, we didn't go beyond 60%. In Volta, around the same figures. In Ashanti, Upper East, Upper West, Greater Accra, the mighty Greater Accra, and they would go scot-free. If there is anything against any past government official, due process must be followed. And I'm sure all of us will have peace. My respected colleague, extend to His Excellency the President of the Republic the assurances of the minority that with this, we will also accord him every courtesy due him as President of the Republic. We would cooperate and oppose when we have to oppose. After all, our duty is to oppose you. And we can work together as a people to represent our people and for our people to learn from us and to teach us and to train us and to help us to advance this democracy. I want to conclude, Mr. Speaker, by saying that Mr. Ken Ofori Attah, as at this morning, I had an extensive engagement with him. He's traumatized by the labeling of this adjective described to his person, but he still knows that his God is with him. He's undergoing some medical procedure. In fact, I had an early morning engagement with the chief of staff who confirmed that indeed Mr. Ken Ofori Attah wrote to him and he's in receipt of the letter. He was very sincere in telling me that. So within reasonable time, I'm sure he would come. I will also engage the office of the special prosecutor, engage constructively, assure him and his office that if there was any miscommunication, I, as a leader of my side, is assuring him that the man will make himself available. He left the country with permission. He would come, and if there is anything that has to be investigated, he will make himself available. It's not easy to serve your country, and I'm sure all shall be well for the good of us all. Mr. Speaker, I thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank once again the majority leader.
Was an intelligence. Media was an intelligence, Oboa, and ya at the papa. Share, Obia, Medoa Coco, much less me, so near Makwa home, GM near there. Now I throw no, Nimua or the back auto, said, or non intelligence, children said, me ye my do so jam. Categorical. No, a samba paragraph for Sabacas, and nam say ye my do so jam. Then they said President Akufo-Addo cry me Commissioner Customs. Abra dansi die krata e wo se ye yimi animonyam kwanso honorary release now what was say wo intelligence free obi a wo tumi a special prosecutor utimi ko ba bia aka se monfa information we mame kwan be so na fa yi kenedamwa release ye de be ma wan kope wotena ase enam se ubu hu na mu nipanti na me koka se sebi wan kire se oye penyi so kire so oye penyi a enka onye de oye no but court osade sa a hantan no ba court e ma judge no for so no ma otwesan eno na kire no su no ne ban so am say menim de say do si bu no ho but I say ohun say ye nyina man adwuma na wo ye e wo say obre no ho ase no fa mrakwa ne nhihye papa so eye na adwuma onfa chumi no wanya no ma ne me say obro obi aso ewo e man we mu saa de no a oye ne de mesere no etumpan onto no me mom de maka menye obone na se wo hyeda bo apayo kwan so te se de oye mi ogu manim ase a na nadwen yen se waye no a nyankopon hata so obedi masama mam eno de okosoro ba fom nyame bedi masama mam me mfa tuo me mfa agyan ba nyame a mesom no me
krowe hu if you young one penny for say duam abodade mu ti say 140 yaw if OSP under the law etimi hwehwe de wawu charge de wawu prosecute de wawu a how much more they living
or charge you be a wawu prosecute you be a
we went to court.
Okay, that's a John case.
Yes, we went to court under the MPP government. Yango court. Executor. So I was in court. And a judgment was delivered. Even though we know dead men don't talk. Man, who press conference? We didn't see. I'm saying that dead man who cannot even defend himself was prosecuted in this country.
No, but parties to start suit, no. Now, OSP versus one versus
versus me
versus who?
Yes.
No,
I'm coming. Why na I didn't ask moko? I'm kujinem.
No, so because we are executor.
Oh, will be
in the US.
Yeah,
but of course I get the point. The real issues no never will be only home.
And me assembly na wo.
So no executor.
I'm just said na assembly me assembly call be din ko boy. Ya mo me din ho. My name was not mentioned in that case. Me din away because when he said me executor. I didn't see Kroma. No, you're part of the MPP.
He was.
And so,
Former General Secretary.
Former General Secretary. And there will be Otiasi. Yes, so I'm me in one. I will Juma be a wire. I will be fee say.
And Kyei.
And say Kyei Krana and we year home, Brabe one. A crime and I committed crime. Has he committed any crime?
No.
Eti me who press conference did there home. And benefit say woni mutrima me kuro ampoma jambi onku woni mutrimu ne ye kan asema ampoma jambi onku ati say onye bone na so ye na djuma ye friend na we police case be na wom we dede bi anim omra so oyare na wontimi mma enene ochena I so kasa bi ene de mintimi mma but that's a meeting den aba no me yire ho no
o say oman na march ena sa na letter ni
oh so man match I mesre OSP say oman match
ah be OSP say o
afi kura timi ba
me de me unu mi amagin
yeah
me fu say OSP no wanya adwimpo bi say
frakadam
aha intino so say matcha me mate na mo me di bibi to so a
the pressure
beto say match no wontimi ensan fa another story enfamba me de sana na adwin
obi
okay
me de o say match no beba na say OSP ni hwe na be yi a match no nwasa say I mean and 12 me wa next month ya
February
on chairman mbra no me ni ho no enti mi hu ayi isi Ghana ha ene yamhihye bi o Ghana ha ne se ye de tat o mutata OSP tata obi minim se sa up until now na minim se OSP team tata nkofo krem minim da minim da se OSP team tata nkofo krem da minim da enye ne press conference o ye ya ka minim se sa OSP team tata nkofo me de minim da nyina minim se OSP o ye na djuma amra man ho kwan so o ye na djuma and he was starting so investigating kofo kremu ache
koto de ne boy
obradi nyankopon ye koto kra adwempo o starting so investigating kofo kremu ache obi anamebo o starting so to the suffering kofo ye nuen Charles Bisi any
Charles Bisi go declare the wanted
yes there be no say baba Charles Bisi the other Central Region Secretary in France you know oko standing for MP no everything Ekwawusi o declare mo ina
yeah
lawyers komu and there call you be say do baby no emra ye adwuma enti emra na bo OSP ho ban emra na bi bo yewura Ken Ofori Attah ho ban enti mi hu de enti say you hold the press conference say you see obi no be ni ho ano why enti only 2 minutes of obi so me ni ho ano okure mu is that what yati ana say na the OSP enti me fro obi so me ni ho ano me SML issue me maka ho asem wa ye nyina ye nim say yewura ye a ya fa no say Jerry boss sapon omne ye auditing no anam
yeah KPMG sure
at that time no or your partner omne auditing
senior partner
omo auditing SML contract no and no de findings na be beto bonti enwu di na criminalize SML e wo ha e se obi me ya no e musu meaning crime be na e wo so ma committee did they say SML has committed any crime?
Not that I know.
Did they say government that trace kabia mo and any kwan say or this kind of mo na you offer any bibis at home and to me who be home with regards to that one me who apart from the other ones are any public my who en kan wasam and can you public and can wasam but what the meaning say the against a private audit firm was engaged by government say on kohwehwe asemnum or hwe asemnum the woma ohun ye no or the beto abonte no public can say there be as a buying a shirley and maybe and one person a full report no or declare a full report no adamewa never to mountains we na hwem at all mountains we but what you the woman a crime no you bet man discuss it and so I don't know why say no cry your friends say omra ma cheche ne hunsem wo mu a en kan e boni bi wo
Ken Ofori Attah case obi can be man crampo enye ye bi see clearly before tia konyo so ada excellency na Nadu Danko Akufo-Addo there were things Ken Ofori Attah, he became so unpopular. And people within MPP, including Eugene, Subi MP, they told the president to the point I'm going to letter petition seeking audience with the president. Ken Ofori Attah, the president didn't listen. And to the end, Ken Ofori Attah and then even beyond the question of whether there is merit in the prima facie case established by a office of special prosecutor or not, to me, no sympathy be among Ken Ofori Attah because of how he handled himself in office. It is very difficult for the ordinary Ghanaian to have sympathy for him. Well, baby say it's as much as the questions I was raising on Facebook is relevant. Say that office of special prosecutor prefer charges no. That no evidence no. And I find evidence but I say no evidence about man prosecuting because you see if you take a cue from Cecilia Dapa case now, there's a question to be answered. President charging my many resignation letter and I say I have confidence in you, say you will not have any issue. You have prejudiced the case. Because you're president, you should be an independent person. From 2008, 2012, 2016, what the year campaign said, let us establish an office of special prosecutor. Now, the special prosecutor, and who see the office of special prosecutor and investigation? Only a then you are preempting. You are judging the outcome of the case. Say me will give you a fair. Office of special prosecutor no investigation you will come out without any blemish. You are that's just a watch office of special prosecutor and baby or investigation on from Kosi. This is where the problem is. Even the average Ghanaian obi ehun Ken Ofori Attah mobo. Obi ehun Ken Ofori Attah mobo. And then each arrest and not center and there was a police for because the constitution anymore. Police support they want the power to search. Ghana police service they have the power to search, but then the military for and the court search. Why? I mean show a video way. Military for her, these are military officers. Soldier for penny for omo search Ken Ofori Attah fie. Soldier for and the court search Ken Ofori Attah fie. What happened to the police? And it has said 20 police report to me, Yana. Could the police not do it? But again, about the same point, I'm not necessary. MPP, particularly Ken Ofori Attah, and this is Papa MPP for dinner, I will call Japan. Baby, no cry. Japan in the lawyer for was saying, Attorney General wanted to cook and throw against akufo-addo. Japan, or leading police, or soldier for and no more Ken Ofori Attah for you. And if just say even legitimate questions say the soldiers should not have been involved in this matter. This matter should have been left to a police for because Ken Ofori Attah, any Nanado, any Nabusia for any the people were in government. Oh my
Ghana, Ebia Nasem Court. Yeboah for Ghana, ni be better as yes. Say you Ken Ofori Attah, then I didn't court here, Jojo. Meaning Nisa. Whatever it is the OSP came out to say, it was not new. Nanya Ghana for one says these issues are coming out and because of that they want to investigate him. No! But the question I ask myself, were these things done at the time or the OSP didn't know about these things that we all spoke about in this country? That the OSP couldn't come out to tell us, say, may you shemuna brasso, my invite a Ken Ofori Attah, Suamla, Chaya, Abai Society, and then they, Yapia, take us a toilet invitation. Now the quiet lawyer say, oh, Yare, now Yarina Yario Yarino, one time or indefinite. What to call America indefinite? Yay, OSP. In the Madra, what are you? Mentias, a minute. Maybe a post now, woman, a person, or woman, what's now, no, I'm in Chassis. Yay. What were you waiting for? As Martin Pebble will ask, what took you this time, Ben? Why did it take you this long? As I name our Baba and say, yay. OSP, Peter. Why did it take you this long before you decided to come out yesterday? Before you came out yesterday to come and tell us that one should Ken Ofori Attah or a fugitive of justice. And they ask, and they one more extradited and Nabagana had I say, when you say that doesn't necessarily mean that yes, I did. But you gave two things that you are supposed to do, and are two things that is involved. Either he himself submits himself, and I say, oh, Bekwa in Nabagana. Then you only inquire about me. Why call him a fugitive of justice? Yay. When him inquire about me, I America, Ghana. Why are you calling him? Just like she animals. She animal. And Ora, Eden Sam, Edekoma, man, Penny. And rather so entire. All right, money, yeah, the Juman area, the case is born to what? And what the come money on man, Penny. And yeah, then somewhere one make up once, our area, the Juma. These issues that I mentioned, and someone make up was him now. It was part of the job that Ora did. A Juma Ora, a gun has it, and someone made Boston and Yama and they OSP so I reckon Ofori Attah. It was part of the work. Ora, so where were you? You had all these and you decided to sit on it and come and tell us after Ora. After Ora finished his job. And Wabajana, it's a fugitive of justice. Massa, why is that a friend? What I say, yeah, why is that a friend? What I baby name? Asa kwala ye de tofie dire nanim na ye de say tofie ubedi na so no so predi na no kwa ho. That's how I see it. Asa mo animre o adwuma wo ye na ye de ama mo animre da no na usu sai wo ya ankonam ene wanya ntabai Ebi said, I don't believe so. I don't think so. I don't believe so. And I'm even telling the government, you should be careful about this OSP.
In charge of operations, Aya Openia, your friend Richard Jakpa. Onu no lidi ne mrantie. Amo mukoye sa operation no. This is Owura ni monyamfo Jakpa Richard. Amanfo te krom ha eke kansam hunu sai Owura Richard Jakpa akwa Ken Ofori Attah fie na wamfa kwan papa so na koye mummy say Jakpa say during the time yete no when say Jakpa yete no na during the time yete no Jakpa koda hospital na ensuo sine so emoja sine so na Akufo-Addo say yes, Omume for Jakpamra. Sawayario, what yasio, woo, young Fadamra. And a doctor for say no. I won't say more your national security for. You was some do a penico. But as some back on Yashua to me, I can say, what penny yani power yare, your man who come and pedana condo wua. What's the end of the year? And to allow him, Mummy and Tritino, ye ria, more than a call. Mummy say Akufo say, asemi ameka say, Jakpa yare the hospital, wa mo koso mo Kwaku fano no, eye no kura na enye no kure. Na na Ken Ofori Attah de edru ne so a, wo se wo yare no wadwane akwa aburochire. Ya declare Ken Ofori Attah wanted. Saba bi owo bia no wawu wote ase o yemfa ne mra. Interpofo dinechi. Ya ba hwehwe Ken Ofori Attah de na firi aburochire de na bagana. En kwasiafo amoa ena edrumoso amudi mrike dwane akwa brochire akosam ho yade Owura John Dramani Mahama Professor Mills SC University of Ghana Medical Center phase 1 phase 2 si ho aka wasamusie akromfo jimifo ye ne moti krom ha sika ye ne besi hospital mo wi ne nyina de ye kenka party ene watch party e wo krom ha mo wi sika no e de ye watch party en kenka party mo bubu labadi for hospital gu fam mo nkonkosi hospital no de besine mo wie dwane kwabro cha kwasam ho yade enkwasi afro jimifo nyame mamu nwu ho ne mfa bu funu mra Ghana abuafunu anya Ken Ofori Attah no kosi transition so be wu ayan fa ne ko ho mo de amatu ya seye ne ya yengu ne afunu munye husika edruso ho de mirika kodwane akwa tabletire ekosa ho yade on wo ka se Ghana yajimu na se Nyankopon ye som no ena obi asom no a eye no kura se wo yare wo kidney ampa one side kidney ne kompreko wo yare ya na wadwen ya adwuma ayo wo seme wo mun se matia sembi na me werɛ hoye Ken Ofori Attah nsem hunu a what a chrome ha wadie. Ya and ya declaring wanted. What baby a Johnny Aquatan one. Young Ken Ofori Attah Magana ha. Baby a wabi and a macro son in such another cruma. Ken Ofori Attah. Say young fana macrom ha. Baby a was Sabiano. Memako ha kwachena bakrom ha me dinasem. Mesre na security force. Mo amuwo airport. Mo amuwo port, mo amuwo your borders. We be wonim na mo bi twane. Ekwanya ye do be faso no, wo wira be ho. Na de metete atre se. Ken Ofori Attah dwane obi dwane no. Enkrofo bi wandi simu a, omo no mutwukuma Ken Ofori Attah. De metete atre se. Enkrofo bi wandi simu. Ano mutwuku yama Ken Ofori Attah se, ye betinu nto onwane. Na se ye no kura dia, ene ye se nipa no wanya hweyi. Ken Ofori Attah wa ma waja pade wo krom ha nyina abandon ne sabeto so ena ye mboni don komi mpo ye be dwiri ni nyina gufom because ye kasa ye ton wadatim bi mobile be kasa wo de ya obeje ye gia ne ye de si factory
ebe si nne
yeah
response to cry say oh hey mensa kamolete na sebi nyansa kura ni
one reply
ebe si nne
jeze mu de ne
oh
ngwan ni hu
ebe si nne special prosecutor.
But in fact, my candid opinion is the last time I checked,
on the
Ghana were over 10 anti-corruption agencies. For me, that office is needless, honestly. Say yes, politician now few say why campaign ashebo, say nanado ashebo say me ba metric special prosecutor office to change here one tier. You do be panic honestly, needless. Who anti-corruption offices more than 10, including Yoko. Omo power no and they were court.
And they were attorney general.
Exactly.
Attorney general.
Into
special prosecutor brought you attorney general power attorney general.
Just imagine. Nana Odi Ashomanya yesi ye nisko ye service ko. Yen kwaye audit. Bra ye 3 special prosecutor office expenses are ye office no. As against their wajiamo man. Yen kwesa de ye no eto asum.
Sa no pe me bisa say ono ankasa special prosecutor no ontana se nhwe se every say your boss our office no ene da ono ba ho ebesi nne aye kase sika ye de ama no ene mfaso aye nya wo no
serious
on checking him.
Meanwhile the essence is to save the nation money. No was to save more money. Nana obia o tigana ha bia nim say me nana me ye Christoni but baby ye yes cathedral no I disagree. Say yes, cathedral asumunya me dia me gitum. But the location I disagree over 200%.
Obi any problem
we hu be mfie be ye numa sensia. Afi na obe nke be ye na nka president Muhammad buy no we special prosecutor. Na afi na obe tachi Ken Ofori Attah mo a ke me yatum. Sa afi no waba. Na wo tena de no hu be ka kire say investigation take 10 years. Investigation take 10 years ah. Nana Nti 10 years now start investigating Ken Ofori Attah. One friend na bezine. One friend na kosi say na abansi so na wo abansi so awusoro no nti ofiri so na obetumi aye adwuma. Is that what he is telling us? Oh nana wonya isa. Mimi de Ken Ofori Attah ono ani party for gwa mboni dimpa. Na mima be boni dimpa. Who ye minister na wan gotokoto na o budget on va ma. Ono ani party for gwa dwa no. To ono de na asem mfam ho. But say special prosecutor who be save your manska. Now be come since I ate and wabo money catching said ye yenyeska. Na mfaso be na office neso. You be tiani apeja asem ne kakraka la bianca he punsam. Cecilia Dapadi nka ebroni anka that day na nka ese na na do go office mo. Say you cost 30 case na afie hu say nye na ese ye di case no. What are you telling? Na so woni madwuma. Scope na ye di amount no. Uko parliament ye bisa scope a special prosecutor adi be ye adwuma ma wo chechire mu unim scope. Na asema ba udigidi akwati asimfimfin akobo ye ka se uko FBI hwan uba ya nsa bega ye se hu se sa de no zenye wona ese wo hwem broni anka that day na ye pam ni free office African yesu so nsem so a needless media office need ye just fulfillment of a political promise I say oh me share bono maye but fa kwemba bia ye ngunu
Kwaku
yengunu
entim free
Dr. Frimpong Boati mo friend me wa
Professor Frimpong
Boati ekosi sei la bianca case ekosi sei Cecilia Dapadi ya obie hu sa dieska guma mi mpasi she giri na what yes mi se konfo we house say nyam na ese mi hwem e ho na ngasi apam no Ze wunim wadwuma. Oh David. Me sure say listen does go fire from aye he ankosi baby.
Uncle says can be Kwaku be a polytank beam.
Oh. Just also say John, you punsam. There's only the BI say, hey, GBR you for advertising. Because you mo guaba. So grants me you mo guaba.
Usha chazo beside the same. Oh, that special prosecutor friend our call. Special prosecutor office. Charlie, Kwaku any sports.
You wo Kwaku any wo anti-corruption agency. Let me say it here say. Irrespective of your political color, so with your money sika, I see a do farm raquem. And no dear. But officer, you create a DB assembly near Pejan Kakrakasa, Ponchintoka, now put some dear, and Fanfas will be a mre, Yoko, FBI, ho, anti-corruption agencies in the Dawson. Yet Tom and Penny Mohammed is so be with your money sika, non fan and famra quinso, irrespective of party or. But I say a book crash, a man, yes, we're granting names and yamnes and we anyway.
The era where there was this whole abuse of power is far gone. Our laws must be made to work. Bernard, whether the man is present or not, the question we need to all ask ourselves is what stage is the OSP in terms of his investigations? Is he considering Ken Ofori Attah as an accused person or a person of interest? That is he done with his investigation such that he has established that there's a prima facie charge against Ken Ofori Attah? You see, Ghana is the creation of law, and we must respect the law. It doesn't matter whether you hate the person, whether in your imagination you think that the person has committed an offense. It doesn't matter. We must, begin to enjoy the fruits of the fight we all pursued before 1992, which is that even the worst of criminal that the person that you've even seen caught red-handed committing an offense must be taken through due process of law and not an imagination of somebody. Otherwise, we risk going into the very era that we all wanted to avoid. We must, let me repeat, begin to enjoy the fruits of the battle we all waged before the promulgation of the 1992 Constitution, which is that let rule of law prevail. You see, you can say procurement breaches, whatever you want to talk about. At the end of the day, right, the question is, has anybody established a prima facie case against Ken Ofori Attah? If no prima facie case has been established against him, you only need him to assist you with your investigation. Can you proceed with the investigations with or without him? In any event, he will come and write a statement, right? Other people, there are other actors around. He's not the only person necessary for the investigations because there are other people around. The contract was signed by somebody. The procurement processes, whether or not it took place, is obvious, right? PPA is there, and so on and so forth. And so, if you need him for the investigation, that would be different. If you don't need him for the investigation, that's also different. If you need him for the investigation, he's not available. Charge him. There's a procedure for charging a person under our laws. Even when the person is absent, there's a procedure. Otherwise, people who leave the shores of this country, right, will go scot-free. It is not for nothing that somebody like Sedina Temaklo, even in her absence, right, the processes still went on. She was convicted and she was sentenced in absentia, right? And so let the law work. That's the problem I've always had with the OSP. It's the same thing he did in the case of Charles Bisu. Right? He gets frustrated with the court processes. So he thinks that the trial in the media works for him. Right? But that is not the Ghana we all dreamt.
Let me get you clear. You're saying that even in the absence of Mr. Ofori Attah, the OSP, depending on what he believes Mr. Ofori Attah has done, can proceed with whatever he wants to do
Yes.
Without being stalled by his absence.
So let me ask you. So what is the status of Ken Ofori Attah as far as the OSP's investigations are concerned? Has he charged him? Is he a person of interest? So what power does he even have to declare him wanted without recourse to the court of law? Ghana is a country of, is a creation of law. We must respect the laws of this country. It's the same thing he did with Charles Bisu. Let me tell you. He had come out, made the media in Ghana believe that he had procured an order for arrest. And so there was a whole broadcast in this country that he had procured an order for arrest. When we went to court, he denied the existence of the order for arrest. It was on that basis that the judge made the order for interim injunction. Subsequently, he says there's no order for arrest. There's no order for arrest. There's no order for arrest. Because he's aware that sitting in his office, he doesn't have the power. He must go to the district court to procure an order for arrest.
But can he not summon a person to appear before his investigators regarding allegations?
Oh, he can.
So is it not in that context that he's declaring the man wanted, that he wants the man to appear to assist in investigations, and the man is not availing himself?
Look, under the constitution of Ghana,
yeah,
you have a right not to incriminate yourself.
Okay.
Are you aware? And so that is why when a policeman confronts you on a matter, he reads to you your caution statement that you have the right to remain silent. Otherwise, anything that you would say will be used against you in a court of competent jurisdiction. What it simply means is that even if I appear in your office, I can choose not to talk. And so invariably, you don't need me to proceed with your investigations because I cannot speak to incriminate myself. So the presence of Ken Ofori Attah in the office of the special prosecutor is not necessary.
It's neither here nor there in your view.
Neither here nor there. If you have done your own investigations without his assistance and you form the view that there is a prima facie case against him, charge him.
Even without speaking to him?
Charge him.
On the face of the evidence you've gathered?
Yes, that is why we say prima facie, on the face of the charge. Right? Because when he appears before you, he can choose to keep quiet. Okay, so are we saying that if he keeps quiet, you cannot charge him?
I get you.
Is that what you are saying? And so if he can keep quiet, then you don't need his presence.
But assisting in investigations may not only be in talking. It could also be in asking you to provide some information, whether maybe documents.
Go to court. Procure an order. When he appeared before us, did he say that he has procured an order of the court for him to produce a certain document or material?
Interesting.
That he cannot find him to enforce that order of the court?
So in your view, what is he doing? What is the OSP doing with this?
It is just the normal public show he has always embarked upon. It is just...
But you've cited only one example.
We saw Cecilia Adapa. He gets frustrated when he goes to court and lawyers come to face him. He thinks that whenever he has to prosecute a matter, a lawyer shouldn't even stand in front of him.
Is that what he has told you?
You see, if he walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, then it is a duck. It is a duck.
Interesting. Let me take Mr. Kwebu's reaction briefly to this, and then we move to the next topic. So, Mr. Kwebu, your colleague here is actually saying, look, there's nothing preventing OSP from doing his job, even in the absence of Ken Ofori Attah. From a legal point of view, do you agree with him?
No. You see, let's say, yes, I agree to some extent, but it can't be 100%. You see, he is largely right that it's the prosecution's burden to find their evidence. It's not for Ofori Attah to give it to them, even though sometimes an accused or a suspect can confess. So, but for that's where I depart from you. Yes, the investigator.
So you are hoping that you appear and confess. You are hoping that he can.
No, let him finish. Today we are. Just don't worry. Let him finish.
Yes, because you don't know what will happen. So, but for that's where you overstated it. You have a strong point, but you've overstated it. Listen. Because there is a chance that he can confess, you have to offer it to him. So in our jurisprudence, it's not the norm, Bernard, and you can call me Martin. The people is too much, okay? Martin, or just people, but not the mister.
Okay.
You see, Bernard, the thing is that in our jurisprudence, what Bafo said is law that the prosecution should find their evidence. It's not for Ofori Attah to give it to them. But also in practice, there are some people who, for some reasons, which we can't go into, it's even beyond the scope of this program, they later feel remorseful and want to spill the beans. So you have to offer it to them. So as I sit here, Bernard, this is my 18th year at the bar. I can't really recall a case in which the police just took the case to court and didn't offer the accused to write his statement. So see the practice. So Bernard, I need us to get this very well. 18 years, I practice very well. I mean, everybody knows that I go to court. I'm busy. That's why I can talk on the media, because I'm able to earn a living out of the courtroom. I haven't been involved or seen another lawyer discuss a case in which the prosecution have gone to court and have no statement at all from the accused. No, they'll offer it to you. It's for you to write on it. No comment. Yes, and if you write, I mean, there are some statutory parts. You heard Bafo say your Miranda rights, your right to silence, right to cancel, blah, blah, blah. So they'll write all that on the paper and now say write. Or if you cannot write, speak the language you speak, and then they'll get interpreter, then they'll write. So when it comes to that point, it's within your right to say no comment. And if you say no comment, then they say, is that all? You say yes. Then they say, okay, sign against it. So that's the practice. So it has to be offered to him. But sometimes, if you are lucky, it's offered to the opportunity to make a statement. And the person goes ahead to confess straight. Look, let me show you the treason case. Let me just show you one case. The treason case that ACP Agode was just added when he was not a part, because Godfrey Dame wanted to just show him power, right? There is one of the accused persons, I think that's Zipi. Look, they had no evidence against him. But when he was offered the opportunity to write, then he put himself right in the suit and incriminated himself left, right, center. If you read the judgment, you can see the judges were like, "Ooh, it doesn't happen that often." So he offered himself up. The prosecution had no evidence against him. So therefore, don't overstate it. Just like what I've done. Let's do it that way.
All right. Let me give you. That's fair enough. Let me not belabor the point. I wanted a quick comment from both of you on the raid itself and the way it's been reported. We don't have all day.
No. So please, let me say.
You want to respond to that?
You see, law. You don't make assumptions. What he's saying is an assumption that I'm assuming that you appear and confess. Right?
No, he says given a chance.
Wait. The fact that he's admitted that there's the possibility of the person not commenting, right, is enough. It's enough for us to accept that in a criminal matter, it is possible for the prosecution to proceed without a comment or a statement from the accused person. The question that should be answered by him is that in that circumstance, what is the prosecution going to do? If the prosecution's case cannot be sustained, if you cannot procure a safe conviction, right, without the statement of the accused person or the interested person, then what's going to happen to the matter? So you don't make assumptions. Martin should refrain from making assumptions.
Well, there are two legal positions that we can live with. I want to proceed. I want to move forward. I want to move forward.
No, but you see, the way he said, bar for practice. I've also practiced for 15 years. He knows. I've lived and drank in our courtroom. From the High Court to the Supreme Court. That has been my life for the last 15 years. And he's aware. Very respectfully, 3 years difference. I agree. But the complexity of the cases you've handled over a period of time determines...
No problem.
You
I wanted to ask you...
So it's not about the number of years at the bar, even though we defer to...
Bar is fine. In Parliament today, a lot of the arguments were more about the raid than even the substance of the OSP's claims.